Good afternoon, folks. We are going to let folks arrive. It's the beginning of our Northeast Food for Schools fresh and frozen produce in winter. And my name is Abby Getman-Skillicorn. I'm joined by my colleague Simka Horwitz, who's the co-director of Massachusetts Farm to School. And we're looking forward to sharing our presentation and resources with you today. We'll give folks one more minute and then just get started so we can get on to our procurement journeys with the abundance of Northeast grown produce this winter. Great. So like I said, my name is Abby Getman-Skillicorn. I'm joined today by my colleague Simka Horwitz. Today we will be running through winter availability for fresh and frozen produce, MAPC's Northeast Produce RFP, the Mass Grown Exchange, where you can find what farmers are listing in abundance, Mass Farm to School resources, including the proper procurement sample of the 3-quote sample that was developed with DESE's Office of Food and Nutrition Programs. The financial services team helped us with that 3-quote sample that you could utilize for your procurement to solicit quotes. There's a little bit about the USDA Farm to School census, upcoming workshops, and we'll respond to questions and answers. A few housekeeping things today. This is a recorded webinar, so please utilize the Q&A function of the webinar today. The chat function will be utilized for links that we'll send out and make available to you. So again, please use the Q&A function as we run through this webinar today. And it is being recorded, and both the recording and slides will be available after today's session. A little bit about Mass Farm to School. So we are a statewide organization that works to strengthen farms and fisheries to promote healthy communities by increasing local food purchasing and education at schools. Mass Farm to School, we're the contracted partner with DESE's Office of Food and Nutrition Services on both the Mass Fresh Grant and the Northeast Food for Schools. And we are pleased to announce that we know that August reimbursements have been issued for any schools that filed August reimbursements, and they're in the process of completing the September reimbursements manual deposits. So if you want to check on your remaining NFS balance, you can utilize the QR code to click on it from here, or I am going to drop the link in the chat so that you can access that as well. We know that folks are eager to see their reimbursements come in. So there is, despite cooler temps, there's quite an abundance of Massachusetts grown products that are available, or Northeast grown products that are available, that go beyond apples or carrots. We know that a variety of school districts, especially with the Northeast Foods program, have been sourcing some really interesting products, including some of the flash frozen broccoli that you might see there from Harvesting Good in Maine. Local mushrooms have been featured, cranberries, and despite cooler temperatures, there's ample indoor grown salad greens that are available this time of year. So when you're thinking about fresh and frozen produce that might be available, there are ample root crops like beets, carrots, onions, potatoes, and sweet potatoes that are certainly available through wholesale for you through existing distributors. We're aware of more and more conventional distributors who are making available local traceability so that you can know where the products are coming from, as well as from a variety of the food hubs that we work with throughout the state, which we'll touch on later in our presentation today. There are a variety of storage crops, apples, cabbage, garlic, pears, winter squash. Those are things that hold up well throughout the winter. And like I mentioned, ample salad greens are being grown indoors throughout the state that a variety of the food hubs and distributors are getting access to. Massachusetts has a proud cranberry tradition. So we want to remind folks about, cranberries can be used beyond November. So you can think about some of those procurement sources, especially for the school districts who are located on the Southeast coast or around the Cape. There are also great opportunities to take cranberry field trips to cranberry bogs, which is another fun thing in your farm to school journey to think about. We're really excited to see and hear more about local mushrooms that are being utilized. Sprouts are certainly a product that is grown indoors year round. And then we're aware of a variety of IQF produce like diced potatoes, carrots, broccoli florets, and assorted mixed vegetables that, again, are grown in the Northeast and are able to be frozen at the peak of freshness and are stored and packed and ready for you to purchase at this time of the year. For as far as the how to go about sourcing products that are local, Massachusetts Farm to School worked over the past year with the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission on a Northeast Produce RFP, and there are the following awarded vendors, 9 awarded vendors. So there's folks that are able to distribute effectively statewide for local produce with these 9 awarded vendors. And if you want to utilize the Northeast Produce RFP, you can go to the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission School Food Purchasing website in order to download the RFP and the supporting documents to check price lists and then engage with a vendor, one of the vendors or food hubs, to see if they work with your distribution needs. And I'm going to stop sharing this presentation and I'll screen share my website browser so you can see a little bit more of what we're looking at and what the supporting documents can look like, because while the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission issued the RFP, every school district is still responsible for issuing their own contract. And Simca, while I stop sharing screen, welcome you to also chime in if there are further details that I missed on the.
No, I think that's a great summary, and it's a really good opportunity for those of you who haven't seen what sort of products those awarded vendors have. Several of them have, weekly availability lists that they send out, so you can see what they still have available. And we were just perusing those yesterday, and there really still a lot of products available. So, yeah.
So for the Northeast Food for Schools RFP, you can check out the RFP and the addenda by going onto the MAPC's School Food Purchasing page. And for here, you can find the full RFP, you can find the regional aggregators, the product listings. If you have any questions, you can certainly contact the MAPC team. But for an example, you can look at the responded price lists that can be available here. I would also say that these are the prices that, for example, Boston Food Hub responded with. But something else to call forward is that they do have an updated price list, and in the event that any of these prices are lower than the price that they responded to in the RFP, you are able to utilize, if you issue a contract with them, you're able to procure product through them, and you are able to get that deal or a lower price point than what they put in the RFP. But the RFP is really the ceiling for any price point that you might have for the contracted products they responded to in the RFP.
And these are the documents that are what, if you're working with like a business office or someone in your district that oversees procurement, these are the documents that they would need to have in place in order to actually move forward with issuing the contract.
Thank you, Simca. And I'll get back over to the slide deck. And so just to say, like, it's not overly complicated. These materials are available online. And we also have a sample contract that can be reached if you go to the website that's on the QR code on the Mass Farm to School website, which I will also drop into the chat. we have a sample contract that you can use for, use with your business office. Simca, forgive me, I've lost my chat function. It's hidden behind a screen somewhere. So if you can drop that in the chat, that would be awesome.
Yep. Sorry to navigate to that window, but
another great resource in addition to the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission price lists, as far as like what could be available locally, is also the Mass Grown Exchange. So the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources has been working on pairing buyers with sellers. And so on this Mass Grown Exchange, you can see what different farms are listing for wholesale availability. It is to serve the farmer marketplace. So you can filter for different options. And again, I'll stop sharing the slides and click over to the web browser so you can see what it looks like when you're actually on the page. So for example, if you're looking as a buyer, you can click on the buyer page and you can look at for sale. You can type in different products. So you can see what different types of products are available and see when the different details were listed on the posting. So if you are also in the market for certain products and you're not sure if any farmers might have that kind of product available at this time of the year, you can also feel free to issue something that you're looking for. And in order to do that, you can also register and for you can register for your own username and account in order to manage any postings that you might have with the Mass Grown Exchange.
And that link is now in the chat as well.
Thanks, Simca.
And just want to reiterate, if folks have questions along the way, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A and we're a small group, so happy to have this be a bit more conversational as well if you want to ask questions as things come up.
Thanks, Simca. Some folks might have attended the what's minimally processed webinar that we offered last month, but as a reminder, if you're requesting reimbursement for any NFS products, the produce must be grown within 400 miles of your school food authority, and that if you're buying through a distributor, you can ask them for that information about the farm of origin to confirm if it's in your radius. We're well aware of frozen broccoli florets, peeled and cut squash, carrot coins, tomato sauce, diced and frozen tomatoes, or French fries that were grown in Massachusetts or were grown regionally and were processed locally and are available for schools. And these are all pictures of products that have been served or sold in the past few months through school food authorities over the past few months. Again, while we have the MAPC produce bid, we do know a lot of distributors are working to provide more traceability of their products. And so feel free to make an inquiry with your existing distributor to see what kinds of local products they can provide to you, or can at least let you know what's available from where, if there are local offerings. Another example of minimally processed foods could be your Northeast cut apples or apple cider. We know that those are products that school districts are buying and are receiving reimbursement for Northeast food for schools. Frozen berries and fruit purees are also great examples of NFS products that you can utilize in your school meal programs. As far as how to find local, we do have the local food map on the Mass Farm to School website. And this can be an interactive map that also ties to a spreadsheet that we can show you here. Simca, are you still seeing the map screen?
Yeah, we've got the map pulled up.
Beautiful. Okay. So what you can do is you can look at the map and see, you can zoom in to see if there are particular farms in your area that might have products, but another really useful source of filtering can be for utilizing this spreadsheet. And I would also really encourage folks with the Northeast Food for Schools RFP, Northeast Food for Schools program, there is a priority on socially disadvantaged farmers and increasing the purchases for their business. And so if you're a school district that is able to source from farms that identify as socially disadvantaged, this can be a real benefit to the program's impact here in our state. So we do have that tab available, but if you're looking for specific products, you can filter depending on what products you're really looking for. And it can be more specific than just vegetables. You can look for specific, if you're looking for kale or carrots or apples, winter squash, that kind of thing. Great. And moving back over. So we do want to remind folks, proper procurement in our state is to utilize the 3-quote sample if you're purchasing something that's under $100,000, which is the small purchase threshold, anything between $10,000 and $100,000 aggregate with any particular vendor during the fiscal year. So if you're looking for a particular product, maybe the Northeast Produce RFP isn't specific enough for what you're looking for, or the distributors that were issued might not work with your delivery schedule, you can also use the request for quotes sample to customize exactly what products you're looking for, and then send it out to at least 3 vendors in order to come up with your award for the best bid possible.
And I think the one important thing to remember here too is you have to send it to 3 vendors. You do not need to receive 3 responses. So they should be reasonable vendors. But if you only get 2 responses, that is okay. You can select from the 2 that have responded.
Thanks, Simca. It's an excellent point. I know that when I was in a school food authority, I would just BCC the 3 vendors that I would be sending out the quote to, save that email on record for our procurement audits, and keep it moving. We also want to remind folks that the USDA Farm to School Census is open and live. We are aware that many districts in Massachusetts currently have their census responses pending. So you're like, maybe you've opened your census survey, you're working through it. USDA is trying to get trying to receive all responses by the end of December. So it is something that if you have further questions, feel free to reach out to me, or if you or Maggie from the Office of Food and Nutrition. If you do have questions, I have my email at the end of the presentation today. Some other fun things that we have are upcoming workshops. There is a presentation from our friends at Homegrown Springfield who will be talking about student voice, student choice, collaborative methods for school menu changes. And that workshop is taking place next Wednesday at this time from 2 to 3 p.m. with Carly Dunn and Caitlin Stoneham. And this workshop is really to help you think about how to engage students and harness their voices in what's being offered. We understand that there is sometimes some apprehension about how to engage students as customers. And at the same time, we know that many of you are pretty ambitious in how you're trying to revolutionize your menus to have the staples like pizza, but also offer some more exciting offerings that students would like to see on their menu. So feel free to register for that workshop that's taking place next week. Again, if you do have questions about your NFS remaining balance, we do have that available publicly. The link is on this slide, which will be sent out in the email to all NFS districts is going out tomorrow morning with that link as well. We are very excited about the number of terrific trays submissions we've been receiving recently. As you can see on the left, that's a photo of Acton Boxborough's December terrific tray that was selected and and shared out. Excuse me for a moment.
And I'll keep going. That we will be collecting these terrific tray submissions each month. Really encourage you to submit photos of the great local foods that you have underway. I will put in the chat the link to the where you can go to submit your terrific tray entry, and really encourage folks to send us those photos, and everyone who all of the winners of the terrific trays each month will be entered into a drawing for 2 free registrations to the May Healthy Kids Healthy Program,
Healthy Kids, Healthy Programs
Healthy
Summit.
Program Summit, that's put on by Desi with JSI, as well as some Mass Farm to School swag. So send us your photos.
Thank you, Simka.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. We're happy to answer them. We will say that we've been pretty inspired by the types of offerings that folks are using for their local procurement this winter, and the terrific trays is also a really wonderful way for us to continue to get the good word out about the types of really delicious offerings that you're providing your students. So if you have more questions about specific content that we covered in today's presentation, please drop it in the chat. Simka and I are on for a little while longer, but we've reached the end of our presentation. So happy to triage any questions. And if you do have requests or a desire for specific workshop topics, we also will be sending out a follow-up survey asking you what else you want us to do a workshop or webinar about.
The other thing I would add, I think, in terms of that, like requests of you guys, is we're interested in hearing what products you're looking for, particularly the like either things that might be available in the winter, or some of those like minimally processed or more, frozen items, for example. Because we are regularly in communication with like a wide number of farmers as well as food processors, it's really helpful to hear if you said, yeah, I'm using frozen broccoli, that's nice, but how come there's no frozen cauliflower like that's available locally? That's the kind of messaging we can relay to people growing those crops and also processing them, and start demonstrating demand. So if there are things that you're like, I would love it if this was available, I would use it if it was here, feel free to like put those in. I know it's not a question, but put those sorts of comments into the Q&A as well, because we're always looking for that kind of information of the products that you'd like to use if they were available.
Thanks, Simka. And I would say that like the market and farmers are definitely responding to the types of requests. It takes, a little bit more advanced planning for sure on some products, but we know that there's been a lot of investment and innovation that's going on in the growing spaces around Massachusetts and in the Northeast, so that there are more options year round for local produce, including your hydroponic lettuces or your greenhouse grown greens, in addition to, mushroom production, 12 months out of the year, and the type of processing, that can allow you to have the IQF broccoli, which is exciting too. Great. Well, Simca and I can stay on for another minute. We'll stop recording at this time, just so if folks are feeling a little shy, if you will, about having their question answered during recording. We can stop that